In this video, we are going to go over ICT's turtle soup trading strategy that can get you around a 70% win rate if you trade it properly. And if you follow these rules here, we can look to get about a 90% accuracy in terms of the direction of the move and getting that right. So a few housekeeping rules before we get straight into it. So the first one, when taking this and trading this strategy, we only want to be using the 15-minute time frame and the 5-minute time frame. We're going to be relying on the 15-minute a bit more. The 5-minute time frame is going to be used for entry and market structure shift only. Second rule, you will need to mark out the Asian session range. Now on my channel, you've seen me use FXN Asian session range indicator. In fact, I have it on right now. We're going to be using that to mark out the Asian session range so you do not get it wrong. But I will be going over the times that you can look if you don't want to use that indicator. And then finally, and it's quite logical as well, we only want to be taking these trades during the London and New York session. Why? Because there's volume in the markets at that time, and if we take trades outside of these sessions, for example after the New York session, then there's not going to be enough volume in the markets and you're likely to have a lower win rate. Okay, so now that we've gone over those housekeeping rules, let's get straight into the strategy and how it works. So as you may be aware, on the 1st of August 2024, I'll be releasing my journaling and analytics software. In order to join the initial waitlist and to learn more about its features and other information, please go to www.simulationfx.co.uk and enter your email address below. So if I just draw a very rough Asian range and a very typical Asian range as an example, there we go. I'm going to draw a box around it, and this will be very similar to the actual indicator and the way the indicator looks, like that. And that's our Asian session range. Okay, we've got our highs, we've got our lows perfectly in order. And what we're going to be looking for in terms of the first rule, we need to make sure that the Asian session starts, okay, at, if I just double check, so it ends at 7 a.m. and it starts at 1 a.m. So we need it to start at 1 a.m. here, and that's 7 a.m. and that is, I'm in UK time. So I think if I go back to US time or Eastern time, that's I think that's 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. if I'm correct. I might be wrong there, but double check that. But that's what we need. We need to be 7 a.m. here, the end of the Asian session, and then 1 a.m. is the start of the Asian session. So you've got a good 6 hours of Asian session essentially being choppy and doing its thing. Now with the strategy, the way it works is what we're going to be looking for is price to, after the Asian session, it's going to move down, and it's going to, let's say it moves up first and then it takes the Asian session low or the high. But let's just take, I don't know, as an example, the low. Now once it takes the low, as it has here, this is giving us the indication of where price truly wants to go. This is the direction of the day. That's what price is giving us and telling us. Now what we want is, we know that price is going to go and take the high. On my channel, you've seen me trade the Asian session liquidity sweep, and that's basically once it takes the low, it's going to take the high. So now what we're going to do is, instead of trading it here, although there is a trade we can take here following my Asian session liquidity strategy, we can now wait for price to take the high. And so we expect price to run up and take the high, and once it's taken the high, we are looking for price to come back inside the Asian range like this, okay, and then we're going to look for something like this, and then price to push lower, and we're targeting this, and then obviously possibly lower as well. But let's just take this as a target, as it's a very safe target to go. So again, what's going to happen? Price, we're going to get a liquidity grab here, then we're going to push up and get and raid the Asian high. So then that's another liquidity grab, and then we're going to look for a market structure shift. So that's what this box here is showing us, a bit of a market structure shift like so. And then we're going to look to take a trade to the downside like this. So we're looking at, let's say, entering here, stops just above this high like so, and then we're going to target this low here. And that's essentially what the setup is going to look like. Now if I flip the scale is going to be exactly the same the other way around. So price takes the high of the Asian session first, giving us the actual direction of the day of movement. Price is going to come down, raid the low, and then it's going to give us a market structure shift. We're going to enter from the market structure shift, and then price is going to push up, and we want to be in that move targeting the initial liquidity grab. So if we go back to looking at this from like an explanation perspective, this is a true move. Price giving us direction of where price actually wants to go. It pushes up, false move here, but remember, we're grabbing liquidity here, we're grabbing liquidity here. We're gonna get the market structure shift, and then we're gonna push in, and then price is just gonna, you know, hopefully continue down. And that's where you can really get better risk to reward on your trade, if price gives you that continuation. So that's essentially the strategy. There is one nuance with this. Sometimes what we will get is that price won't give us the market structure shift here. What we can do in that case is, if I get rid of this and redraw it out, we get the push up, we get that, is price might come in, and then on the retest of the Asian session high, like so, we can enter, and then we can take the trade down. The other way we can enter is through a continuation movement from here. So that's essentially price giving us, you know, this sort of movement all the way down, and then we can enter off one of those on the 5 minute, and we can get in. So when it comes to the entry model, we want to be in on the 5 minute or the 15 minute. 5 minute is going to give us those better entries for the best risk reward, and that's essentially what we're going to be, you know, aiming and looking for. So now let's go straight into a couple of examples of this trade. Okay, so example 1. So as we can see here, we have the Asian session range like so, and you can, if you want, draw the lines for the Asian high and the Asian low. Let's just do that for now, just so it looks really nice, and then we can just start to, you know, skip some candles and see which one gets taken first. So as you can see, we get the high of the Asian session taken first, and so now what we're looking for is price to take the low. So price takes the low, there we go. And now what we're looking for is essentially price to come back in to the Asian range, like so. And now we're in the Asian range. We get a 15-minute close into the Asian session range, so we've got a couple 5-minute closes. And now what we can do is we can just look into the Asian range and be like, okay, so do we have a reason to get into a trade? So if we look, we have a nice fair value gap here that allows us to enter a trade. We also have, you know, you can say that's an order block there as well. I can mark that out. So we got 2 areas to enter from. I generally would enter from a fair value gap, as I used to enter from order blocks, and fair value gaps seem to be working better for me at the moment. But that's an entry requirement and you know, fulfillment here. So we can enter here and we can target this high here. So what I would be doing is setting a stop like that. I can put it just below, you know, 0.5 below the low here. All right, let's just say that's 0.5, and then we're going to target the high, so we get a really nice, you know, 1 to 4.64 risk to reward trade here. And then all I've got to do is just wait, and in this particular trade, you know, we see we get tapped in straight away, and then it runs off. And as you can see, as I mentioned before, the order block doesn't get tapped into, but the fair value gap does, and it's something that I notice happens quite often with this strategy. So it's worth looking into and being careful from your entry criteria. And if I just move this to the left, you can see, you know, that's a really nice winning trade here. Now let's have a look at another example. Okay, so final example. So if we look at this Asian session range, very simply, we know we're just going to put price at the low, which is actually here, because this is a 7 AM candle. Okay, and then we're going to put price at the high. So it's essentially this candle, really. That's the Asian session range. So we're looking for a takeout of the low here and a takeout of the high here. Generally, when we have candles that close like this, we know we're probably going to take the low at the next candle. So we just want to see a bit more of a, you know, low taken. So possibly this one if it happens, but just things to look out for, right? So if I just start moving to the right, you can see that low has been respected, and then we take it, and we've taken this low as well, which is quite important, right? Because we're like, okay, now we've got the liquidity grab. We know price actually wants to go down for the day. So we've got the bias there, and now we're waiting for this high to be taken. So let's just fast forward to that. Okay, awesome. High taken, price doesn't close back into the range, so we're just waiting for that to happen. Doesn't happen there, happens here. Now literally all you have to do is look for some sort of market structure shift or an indication of where we can enter from. We can drop down to the 5 minute at this point, and we look at the price action. We can clearly see we've got some sort of market structure shift here, you know, lows broken, and now we're just looking for an entry. So this one's a very interesting one. That's why I picked it. It's because we can drop lower. We don't, you know, have to stay at the 5 minute. Sometimes, you know, or most of the time, should I say, 5 minute will give us a nice entry. 3 minute, let's have a look if we have like a nice order block there. Here we go. There's a 3 minute, and we're looking for an entry to get in. We can't actually see anything, if I'm completely honest. I'm trying to look for something at the extremes here, or even here, but there just seems to be nothing here. I mean, you could have entered here, I guess, but it's not much of a fair value gap. In fact, there's nothing. Well, there is a very slight fair value gap there. So I guess that was one of the entries. I think I've moved a bit forward, so let's say that. But let's look if we can see if we can find one a bit more in the extreme area. No. Okay, so let's just go with this one then as the entry requirement being fulfilled. We can see we've spiked into it. We've actually spiked into the order block this time as well. So then entry would have been there, stops would have been 6.6, and then very clearly we're looking at where that low of the liquidity grab is. Now you could go for the initial one, which is probably what I will do in this case, and you get 1.426, and literally just play. Oh, looks like price does come back and give us another, you know, possible chance at entry. Messing around here, and boom, you know, there you go. You've got your target here of 4.26R, and again, a really nice trade. And this is actually a really nice strategy to look at, especially if you're one of you know, my subscribers. You know about the Asia session liquidity sweep, so we would have had some sort of entry here to target the high. And in fact, you get another one down just knowing and looking for this sort of setup. So you could have got 2 trades in a day. But again, this strategy gives you 1 trade a day if the setup comes. If it doesn't come, then obviously don't trade it. But again, we're looking at something around a 70% win rate with this when it does show up, and you follow those rules with a 90% accuracy of price actually going in that direction.